take a deep breath and focus for a moment. Because what you are about to understand can completely change the way you see your life, your problems, and even your future. Right now, at this very moment, there is one powerful force that is silently controlling almost every decision you make, every emotion you feel, and every action you take. And surprisingly, it is not your family, not your situation, not your financial condition, and not even the people around you, but something much deeper and more personal than that. And that is your thoughts. Most people go through their entire life without realizing that the quality of their thoughts decides the quality of their life. And they keep blaming outside situations for their problems without ever looking at what is happening inside their own mind. If you have ever felt stressed without a clear reason, if you have ever overthought a small situation and turned it into a big problem, or if you have ever doubted yourself even when you had the ability to succeed, then you are already experiencing the power of your thoughts, but in a way that is not helping you grow. Today, in this video, you are not only going to practice English by listening carefully and understanding naturally spoken sentences, but you are also going to learn one of the most important life skills, which is how to control your thoughts. Because once you learn to control your thoughts, you automatically begin to control your emotions, your actions, your habits, and eventually your entire life direction. Before we move deeper into this topic, I want you to actively participate with me, because learning happens faster when you listen and speak at the same time. I want you to listen to this sentence carefully and then repeat it slowly in your own voice, focusing on clarity and confidence rather than speed. The sentence is, "My thoughts create my life." Now repeat it again, but this time say it with belief, as if you truly understand its meaning. My thoughts create my life. This is not just a sentence for practice, it is a principle that successful people understand deeply. And once you start applying it, you will begin to notice changes in the way you think and respond to situations. Many people believe that their life is controlled by external factors such as money, opportunities, luck, or the behavior of other people. And while these things do have some influence, they are not the real source of your success or failure. The real difference between people is not what happens to them, but how they think about what happens to them. Two people can face the same problem, the same failure, or the same challenge, but their results can be completely different. And the reason behind this difference is their thinking pattern. One person may see the situation as the end of everything and lose hope, while another person may see the same situation as a lesson and an opportunity to improve. The situation remains the same, but the interpretation changes everything. Your thoughts act like a lens through which you see the world. And if this lens is filled with negativity, fear, and doubt, then everything around you will appear difficult and stressful. But if your lens is clear and strong, filled with awareness and positive thinking, then even challenges will start looking like chances to grow and improve. Relatable example for deep connection. Let us understand this with a simple situation that almost everyone experiences in daily life. Imagine you wake up in the morning and the first thing you see on your phone is a message that says we need to talk. Now immediately, your mind starts reacting, and without any confirmation, it begins to create different possibilities. Some people instantly start thinking negatively, imagining that something is wrong, that they made a mistake, or that they are in trouble. And within a few minutes, their mood becomes anxious and heavy, even though nothing has actually happened yet. On the other hand, some people stay calm and think that it could be a normal conversation, and they decide to wait and respond with clarity instead of fear. The message is the same, the situation is the same, but the experience is completely different, and this difference is created only by thoughts. This is how powerful your mind is, and this is why learning to control it is one of the most important skills you can develop. The hidden problem. The biggest problem is that most people are not even aware of their thoughts, because their mind is constantly running in the background, creating ideas, fears, assumptions, and judgments without any control. From morning to night, your mind keeps talking to you, sometimes reminding you of past mistakes, sometimes making you worry about the future, and sometimes making you doubt your abilities. Thoughts like "I am not good enough," "I will fail," "people will judge me," or I cannot do this are very common. And because these thoughts come again and again, people start believing them without questioning whether they are actually true or not. Over time, these repeated thoughts become beliefs, and these beliefs start controlling behavior. What makes it even more dangerous is that people assume that if a thought is coming in their mind, then it must be true. But in reality, your mind often creates false stories based on fear, past experiences, or insecurity. If you never question these thoughts, they slowly become your reality. Here is a powerful idea that can change everything if you truly understand it. You are not your thoughts. You are the person who can observe your thoughts. This means that thoughts are not permanent, they are not your identity, and they're not always correct. When you start observing your thoughts instead of blindly believing them, you create a small gap between you and your mind, and in that gap, you gain control. This is where transformation begins, because once you are aware of your thoughts, you can choose which thoughts to keep and which ones to reject. And once you start choosing better thoughts, your emotions begin to change, your actions become more confident, your habits become more productive, and slowly your life starts moving in a new direction. Small practice. Now I want you to try something simple but powerful. Think about one negative thought that comes into your mind frequently, something that you repeat to yourself again and again without even realizing it. It could be about your confidence, your skills, your future, or anything else. Now, instead of believing that thought immediately, ask yourself one honest question. Is this thought completely true? Or is it just something my mind has learned to repeat? This question may seem simple, but it is the first step toward taking control of your thinking pattern. How thoughts become your reality. Now that you understand that your thoughts are not just random ideas, but powerful forces that influence your life, it is time to go one level deeper and clearly understand how a single thought slowly turns into your reality without you even noticing it. Most people think that life changes suddenly, but in reality, life changes step by step, and the starting point of this change is always a thought. A thought may seem small and unimportant in the beginning, but when it repeats again and again, it begins a chain reaction that affects every part of your life. Let us understand this process in a very simple and practical way, so that you can not only understand it, but also observe it in your daily life. The thought to reality chain. Everything begins with a thought. A thought enters your mind, sometimes because of a situation, sometimes because of your past experiences, and sometimes just because your mind is used to thinking in a certain way. Once a thought appears, it does not stay alone. It immediately creates an emotion. For example, if you think that you are going to fail, your body starts feeling anxious and uncomfortable even if there is no real danger. On the other hand, if you think that you are capable and prepared, you start feeling calm and confident. After emotion comes action. Your emotions decide how you behave. When you feel fear, you avoid challenges. When you feel confident, you take action. Even though the situation is the same, your actions become completely different because your emotions are different. When actions are repeated again and again, they become habits. If you keep avoiding challenges, it becomes your habit to escape. If you keep taking small steps forward, it becomes your habit to grow. Finally, your habits create your life. Your daily actions, repeated over weeks, months, and years, decide where you end up. When you look at your life today, what you are actually seeing is the result of your past thoughts that slowly turned into habits. Real life example for clarity. Let us take a very relatable example, especially for English learners. Imagine a person who wants to improve their English speaking skills. One day, they get an opportunity to speak in English, maybe in class or in front of friends. At that moment, a thought comes into their mind, and the thought is, I cannot speak properly, people will laugh at me. This single thought creates fear. Because of this fear, the person either avoids speaking or speaks very little with hesitation. Since they avoid practice, they do not improve. Because they do not improve, their belief becomes stronger that they're not good at English. Now this becomes a cycle. Thought creates fear, fear stops action, lack of action stops improvement, and lack of improvement strengthens the negative thought. Now let us look at another person in the same situation. They also feel nervous, but their thought is slightly different. They think, I may make mistakes, but I will try and learn. This thought creates a different emotion. Instead of fear, they feel a little nervous, but also motivated. Because of this, they take action. They speak, they make mistakes, but they learn from them. Over time, their confidence improves, and their ability also improves. Same situation, same opportunity, but completely different results, and the only difference is the thought. What you need to understand here is that your mind is always creating these chains even when you are not paying attention. Every day, you are thinking hundreds of thoughts, and many of these thoughts are repeated patterns. If these repeated thoughts are negative, they slowly build a negative life pattern. If these repeated thoughts are positive and realistic, they slowly build a strong and confident personality. The problem is not that negative thoughts exist. The problem is that people do not notice them. And because they do not notice them, they cannot change them. Awareness is the first step toward control. If you are not aware of your thoughts, you will always be controlled by them. Take a moment and think about your daily thinking pattern. What kind of thoughts do you usually have when you face a problem, when you try something new, or when you compare yourself with others? Do you encourage yourself, or do you criticize yourself? Do you look for solutions, or do you focus on problems? Your answers to these questions will show you the direction in which your life is moving. Mini practice. Now I want you to do a small but powerful practice. Think about a recent situation where you felt stressed, anxious, or disappointed. Try to remember what you were thinking at that moment. Now ask yourself, was that thought helping me or harming me? If the thought was negative and unhelpful, imagine what would have happened if you had chosen a different thought, maybe a more balanced or positive one. This exercise may seem simple, but when you start doing this regularly, you will begin to understand your thinking patterns clearly. Understanding overthinking and negative thought loops. Now that you clearly understand how thoughts slowly turn into emotions, actions, habits, and finally your life, it is time to focus on one of the biggest challenges that stops people from taking control of their mind. And that challenge is overthinking. Overthinking is not just thinking too much. It is a pattern where your mind keeps repeating the same negative thoughts again and again without reaching any solution. It feels like you are trying to solve a problem, but in reality, you are only going deeper into confusion, fear, and stress. Many people believe that overthinking means they are being careful or intelligent, but the truth is that overthinking often creates more problems than it solves. Instead of helping you move forward, it keeps you stuck in the same mental loop. What is a negative thought loop? A negative thought loop is a cycle where one negative thought creates another negative thought, and this chain continues without stopping. It usually starts with a small trigger, something simple that happens in your daily life. But your mind takes that small trigger and turns it into a bigger issue by adding assumptions and fears. For example, imagine you sent a message to someone and they did not reply for a long time. Instead of waiting calmly, your mind starts creating stories. You may think that they are ignoring you, or maybe they are upset with you, or maybe you said something wrong. Now each of these thoughts creates a new thought, and within a few minutes, your mind builds a complete negative story that may not even be true. This is how a negative loop begins. Why overthinking happens. Overthinking does not happen randomly. There are clear reasons behind it, and understanding these reasons will help you break the pattern. One of the biggest reasons is fear of uncertainty. Your mind does not like not knowing what will happen, so it tries to create answers, even if those answers are negative. It feels tougher to imagine the worst than to stay in uncertainty. Another reason is past experiences. If you have faced failure, rejection, or criticism before, your mind tries to protect you by reminding you of those experiences again and again. It thinks that by doing this, it is helping you avoid pain, but in reality, it is limiting your growth. Another important reason is habit. If you have been thinking negatively for a long time, it becomes your default pattern. Your mind automatically goes toward negative thinking without any conscious effort. The hidden danger of overthinking. The most dangerous part of overthinking is that it feels real. Even though the thoughts are just in your mind, your body reacts as if they are actually happening. Your heart rate increases, your body feels tense, and your mood becomes heavy. This is why overthinking is so powerful. It creates emotional pain without any real situation. Over time, this habit reduces your confidence because you start doubting yourself in every situation. It also reduces your ability to take action because you are always stuck in thinking instead of doing. Many people do not fail because they are not capable. They fail because they think too much and act too little. Relatable scenario. Let us take a very common situation. Imagine you have an opportunity to speak in front of others in English. Before even trying, your mind starts talking. It says you will make mistakes, people will laugh, you will forget words, and you will feel embarrassed. Now, because of these thoughts, you feel nervous. Because you feel nervous, you either avoid the opportunity or perform with fear. After that, your mind says, see, you were not ready. And this strengthens your negative belief. This is how overthinking stops growth. It creates fear before action and regret after inaction. Important realization. Here is something very important you need to understand. Overthinking is not a problem of intelligence, it is a problem of control. You are not weak because you overthink. You simply have not trained your mind to stop and redirect these thoughts. Just like your body becomes strong with exercise, your mind becomes strong with awareness and practice. Breaking the illusion. Most people think that if they keep thinking about a problem, they will find a solution. But there is a difference between thinking and overthinking. Thinking is focused and leads to action. Overthinking is repetitive and leads to confusion. Thinking asks, what can I do next? Overthinking asks, what if something goes wrong again and again? When you understand this difference, you can start catching yourself when you are stuck in a loop instead of moving toward a solution. Simple practice for awareness. Now I want you to try a simple practice that can help you recognize overthinking. The next time you feel stressed or anxious, pause for a moment and observe your thoughts. Notice if your mind is repeating the same idea again and again without any progress. If you notice repetition without solution, it means you are overthinking. At that moment, instead of continuing the loop, gently tell yourself that this is not helping and shift your focus to something constructive, like taking a small action or focusing on your breath. Practical techniques to control your thoughts. Now that you clearly understand how overthinking works and how negative thought loops are created, it is time to move into the most important part of this journey, which is learning how to take control of your thoughts in a practical and realistic way. Understanding the problem is important, but real change begins only when you start applying simple techniques in your daily life. The goal here is not to completely stop thinking, because that is not possible. The goal is to guide your thoughts in a better direction so that they support your growth instead of stopping it. You are not trying to fight your mind, you are learning to train it. Technique 1: Observing your thoughts. The first and most powerful technique is observation. Before you can change your thoughts, you need to become aware of them. Most people live on autopilot, where thoughts come and go without any attention. And because of this, they never realize how often they are thinking negatively. Start by simply noticing what is going on in your mind, especially during stressful situations. Instead of immediately reacting, take a small pause and observe what you are thinking. Try to identify the exact sentence that is running in your mind. For example, instead of feeling general stress, notice if your mind is saying something specific like, I cannot handle this, or this will go wrong. When you identify the exact thought, it becomes easier to work with it. Observation creates distance between you and your thoughts, and in that distance, you gain control. Technique to questioning your thoughts. Once you become aware of your thoughts, the next step is to question them. Just because a thought appears in your mind does not mean it is true. Many thoughts are based on fear, past experiences, or assumptions that are not accurate in the present moment. When you notice a negative thought, ask yourself simple but powerful questions. Is this thought completely true? Do I have real proof for this? Is there another way to look at this situation? For example, if your mind says, "I always fail," ask yourself if that is really true in every situation, or if your mind is only focusing on a few negative experiences. This process helps you break the automatic belief system of your mind and opens the door for more balanced thinking. Technique 3: Replacing your thoughts. After observing and questioning your thoughts, the next step is to replace them with something more helpful and realistic. This does not mean that you ignore reality or force fake positivity. It means that you choose a thought that supports action and growth. For example, instead of thinking, "I cannot do this," you can replace it with, "I may find this difficult, but I can learn step by step." This new thought is not unrealistic, but it is more constructive and encourages action. The goal is to move from negative and limiting thoughts to balanced and empowering thoughts. Over time, this practice changes your natural thinking pattern. Technique for the 5-second rule. One of the simplest and most practical techniques to control your thoughts and actions is the 5-second rule. Whenever you feel hesitation, fear, or overthinking before taking action, count slowly from 5 to 1 and then immediately take a small step forward. This method works because it interrupts your thinking pattern and stops your mind from creating excuses. Instead of waiting for perfect confidence, you train yourself to act despite discomfort. For example, if you want to speak in English but feel nervous, use the countdown and start speaking without giving your mind time to create negative stories. Action breaks overthinking. The more you act, the less power your negative thoughts have. Technique 5: Writing your thoughts. Another powerful method is writing your thoughts down. When thoughts stay in your mind, they often feel bigger and more confusing, but when you write them on paper, they become clearer and easier to understand. Take a few minutes every day to write what you are thinking, especially when you feel stressed or overwhelmed. After writing, read your thoughts and try to identify patterns. Notice if you are repeating the same fears or doubts. Once you see your thoughts clearly, you can start applying the earlier techniques of questioning and replacing them. Writing creates clarity, and clarity reduces confusion. Technique 6: Meditation and focus. Meditation is not about stopping your thoughts completely, but about training your attention. When you practice focusing on your breath or a simple point, you learn to bring your mind back whenever it starts wandering. This practice strengthens your mental control. Just like regular exercise strengthens your body, regular meditation strengthens your ability to focus and reduces the intensity of overthinking. Even a few minutes of daily practice can make a noticeable difference over time. All these techniques are simple, but their power comes from consistency. You do not need to use all of them at once. Start with 1 or 2 methods and practice them daily. Over time, they will become natural, and your mind will start responding differently to situations. Remember, you are not trying to become perfect. You are trying to become aware and intentional with your thinking. Now I want you to take a moment and think about one situation where you usually overthink or feel negative. Imagine yourself in that situation again, but this time, apply one of the techniques you just learned. Observe your thought, question it, and replace it with something more helpful. Then imagine yourself taking action with this new mindset. This mental practice may seem simple, but it prepares your mind for real situations. Why controlling your thoughts is so important. Now that you have learned practical techniques to control your thoughts, it is important to understand why this skill is not just useful, but absolutely essential for your growth, your success, and your peace of mind. When you truly understand the impact of your thoughts, you will naturally feel more motivated to practice and apply these techniques in your daily life. Controlling your thoughts is not only about feeling better for a short time. It is about creating a strong foundation for everything you want to achieve in life, whether it is improving your English, building confidence, achieving career goals, or maintaining healthy relationships. Thoughts and confidence. Your level of confidence is directly connected to the way you think about yourself. If your mind constantly tells you that you are not capable, not prepared, or not good enough, your confidence will naturally decrease, even if you have the ability to succeed. On the other hand, when your thoughts are supportive and encouraging, your confidence begins to grow. This does not mean that you never feel doubt, but it means that you do not let doubt control your actions. For example, when learning English, many people feel nervous because they think too much about making mistakes. Their thoughts create fear, and that fear stops them from speaking. But when a person changes their thinking and accepts that mistakes are part of learning, their confidence increases, and they start improving faster. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build through your thoughts and actions. Thoughts and success. Success is not only about talent or opportunity. It is largely about consistency and action, and your thoughts decide whether you take action or not. If your thinking is focused on problems, excuses, and fear, you will hesitate and delay your actions. Over time, this creates a habit of inaction, and your progress becomes slow. But when your thoughts say, refocused on solutions and growth, you're more likely to take small steps regularly. These small steps may not look important in the beginning, but over time, they create significant progress. Every successful person has moments of doubt, but the difference is that they do not allow their thoughts to stop them completely. They take action even when they feel uncertain. Thoughts and emotional health. Your thoughts also have a direct impact on your emotional health. Negative thinking patterns can create stress, anxiety, and frustration even in situations where there is no real danger. When your mind constantly focuses on what could go wrong, your body stays in a state of tension, and this affects your overall well-being. On the other hand, when you learn to guide your thoughts in a balanced and positive direction, your emotional state becomes more stable. You start responding to situations with calmness instead of reacting with fear or anger. This does not mean that you will never feel negative emotions, but it means that you will not be controlled by them. Thoughts and relationships. The way you think also affects your relationships with others. If your mind is filled with assumptions, doubts, or negative interpretations, you may misunderstand people or react in ways that create distance. For example, if someone does not reply to your message, your thoughts may assume something negative, and you may feel upset without any real reason. This can affect how you communicate with that person later. When you learn to control your thoughts, you become more patient and understanding. You give situations time and respond with clarity instead of reacting emotionally. This improves the quality of your relationships. Thoughts and daily life experience. Your thoughts shape how you experience your daily life. Two people can live in the same environment, face similar challenges, and have similar opportunities. But their experience of life can be completely different based on how they think. One person may feel stressed, dissatisfied, and unhappy most of the time, while another person may feel motivated, grateful, and focused even while facing difficulties. The difference is not always in what they have, but in how they think about what they have. Long-term impact. What makes thoughts even more important is their long-term effect. A single negative thought may not seem dangerous, but when it repeats daily, it slowly shapes your beliefs. These beliefs then guide your decisions and actions over time. In the same way, a single positive and realistic thought may not change your life immediately, but when repeated consistently, it builds a strong mindset that supports growth and success. Your future is not created in one day. It is created through your daily thinking patterns and actions. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Think about an area where you want to improve, whether it is your confidence, your communication skills, or your personal goals. Now ask yourself honestly, are my thoughts supporting this improvement, or are they stopping me? If your thoughts are negative and limiting, then even if you have opportunities, you may not use them fully. But if your thoughts are supportive and growth-oriented, you will find ways to move forward even in difficult situations. This is why controlling your thoughts is not optional if you want to grow. It is a necessary skill that affects every part of your life. The good news is that this skill can be developed with practice. You do not need to change everything in one day. You just need to become a little more aware every day and make small improvements in the way you think and respond. With time and consistency, these small changes create a powerful transformation, building daily habits to control your thoughts. Now that you understand the importance of controlling your thoughts and how deeply they affect your confidence, your actions, and your life direction, the next step is to make this control a natural part of your daily routine. Because real change does not happen from one idea or one video, it happens from small daily habits that you follow consistently over time. Many people feel motivated after learning something new, but after a few days, they go back to their old thinking patterns. The reason is simple. They do not build a system that supports their growth. Without a system, motivation fades, but with the right habits, progress becomes automatic. The power of daily routine. Your mind is shaped by what you do repeatedly. If you start your day with stress, distraction, and negative input, your thinking pattern will naturally become reactive and unfocused. But if you start your day with awareness and clarity, your mind becomes more stable and controlled. A strong morning routine is one of the most effective ways to guide your thoughts in the right direction. You do not need a complicated routine. Even simple habits can make a big difference if you follow them consistently. Habit 1: Morning awareness. When you wake up in the morning, your mind is in a fresh and sensitive state. This is the best time to guide your thoughts intentionally. Instead of immediately checking your phone or thinking about problems, take a few minutes to sit quietly and observe your thoughts. You can also repeat a simple positive sentence in your mind, something like, "I will stay aware of my thoughts today," or "I will focus on improvement, not perfection." This small practice sets the tone for your entire day. If your goal is to improve your English along with your mindset, then daily practice is essential. Spend some time listening to English content like this video and try to repeat sentences slowly and clearly. While practicing, pay attention not only to pronunciation but also to your thoughts. If your mind says this is difficult or "I cannot do this," apply the techniques you learned earlier. Observe the thought, question it, and replace it with a more helpful one. In this way, you're not only improving your language skills but also training your mind at the same time. At some point during the day, take a few minutes to write your thoughts. This could be in the evening or at night before sleeping. Write about your experiences, your challenges, and the thoughts you noticed during the day. After writing, reflect on your thinking pattern. Identify moments where you overthought or reacted negatively, and think about how you could respond differently next time. This habit builds awareness and helps you improve step by step. What you watch, listen to, and read has a strong impact on your thoughts. If you constantly consume negative or distracting content, your mind will naturally move in that direction. Try to choose content that is positive, educational, and growth-oriented. This does not mean you avoid reality, but it means you protect your mental environment. When your input improves, your thoughts also improve. One of the biggest reasons people lose control of the IR thoughts is because they wait for the perfect moment or perfect confidence before taking action. This creates delay and overthinking. Instead of waiting, focus on taking small actions regularly. Even if the action is not perfect, it moves you forward. For example, if you're learning English, speak a few sentences daily instead of waiting until you feel completely confident. If you are working on a goal, take one small step every day. Action reduces overthinking and builds confidence naturally. Before you sleep, take a few minutes to review your day. Think about what went well and what could be improved. Do not judge yourself harshly. Just observe and learn. If you notice negative thinking patterns, remind yourself that tomorrow is another opportunity to improve. This habit helps you reset your mind and prepare for the next day with a clearer perspective. It is important to understand that you do not need to follow all these habits perfectly from the first day. Start with 1 or 2 habits and practice them regularly. Consistency is more important than doing everything at once. Even small improvements in your daily routine can create a big difference over time. The key is to stay consistent and patient with yourself. Let us combine these habits into a simple daily routine that you can follow. In the morning, spend a few minutes in silence, observing your thoughts and setting a positive intention for the day. During the day, practice your English and apply thought control techniques whenever you notice negativity. In the evening, write your thoughts and reflect on your experiences. At night, review your day calmly and prepare your mind for the next day. This routine may seem simple, but when followed consistently, it creates a strong mental foundation. Remember that controlling your thoughts is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. In the beginning, it may feel difficult to notice your thoughts or change them, but with time, it becomes easier and more natural. Do not expect immediate perfection. Focus on gradual improvement. Every time you observe a negative thought and choose a better response, you are making progress. Now you have reached the final part of this journey, and if you have followed each section carefully, you already understand something that many people never fully realize in their entire life, and that is the true power of your thoughts. You have learned that your thoughts are not random, they're not harmless, and they're not something you should ignore. Your thoughts are the starting point of everything you feel, everything you do, and everything you become. From the first moment a thought enters your mind, it begins a process that shapes your emotions, your decisions, your habits, and slowly your entire life direction, bringing everything together. Let us take a moment to bring all the ideas together in a simple and clear way. You learned that thoughts create emotions, emotions influence actions, actions build habits, and habits create your life. This means that if you want to change your life, you do not start by changing everything around you. You start by changing the way you think. You also understood that overthinking and negative thought loops are common, but they are not permanent. They are patterns that can be observed, understood, and slowly changed with practice. You learned practical techniques like observing your thoughts, questioning them, replacing them, taking action using simple methods, writing your thoughts for clarity, and training your focus through meditation and awareness. You also saw how your thoughts affect your confidence, your success, your emotional health, your relationships, and your daily experience of life. And finally, you learned how to build simple daily habits that support a strong and positive mindset over time. All of these ideas are connected, and together they form a powerful system for personal growth. At this point, I want you to understand one very important truth. Your life will not change just because you listen to this video. Your life will change when you start applying what you have learned consistently in your daily routine. Knowledge gives direction, but action creates results. Every day, you will have thoughts. Some will be helpful, and some will not. The difference now is that you are aware, and because you are aware, you have a choice. You can choose to believe every negative thought, or you can choose to pause, observe, and guide your mind in a better direction. Simple daily reminder. Whenever you feel confused, stressed, or stuck, come back to this simple reminder. My thoughts are not always true. I can observe my thoughts. Repeat this slowly in your mind and let it guide you. If your goal is to improve your English, remember that your thoughts play a very important role in your learning process. If you keep thinking that you are not good enough or that you will never become fluent, your progress will become slow because your actions will be limited. But if you accept that learning takes time and mistakes are part of the process, you will practice more, speak more, and improve faster. Fluency is not only about vocabulary and grammar, it is also about confidence. And confidence begins in your thoughts. Imagine your life after a few months of practicing these ideas. Imagine waking up with more clarity, handling problems with more calmness, taking action without too much hesitation, and feeling more confident in your abilities. This is not a dream. This is a natural result of consistent effort and better thinking patterns. Your future is not something that suddenly appears one day. It is something you build daily through your thoughts, your actions, and your habits. As you move forward from this moment, remember this clearly. If you do not control your thoughts will control you. But if you learn to observe them, guide them, and strengthen them, you begin to take control of your life in a powerful and meaningful way. You may not control every situation, but you can always control how you think about it. And that is where your real power lies. Before you leave, take a moment to reflect and answer this honestly for yourself. What is one negative thought that you want to change starting today? Keep that thought in your mind and begin your practice from today itself, even if it is just one small step. If you found this video helpful for both your English learning and your personal growth, continue practicing RLY and stay connected for more content like this. With time, patience, and consistency, you will not only improve your language, but also build a stronger and more focused mind. Control your thoughts, and you will control your life.